Hello everybody. Brent B back with you. Welcome to the program, or welcome back. Let me tell you a little bit about what I have going on here on my cedar canvas, if you will. You will see the outline of a hexagon, and that is because this is going to be an aggravation board, as I am fond of making. But first I'm going to do some artwork here, and I'll be using Keta wood dye mixed with rubbing alcohol. I've prepared several different shades of blue, and I'm applying them right now. And the wood dye is, it's so much fun to use. And as you can see, it really preserves the wood grain. Unlike paint, which is going to completely cover that up, the wood dye actually accentuates the grain and can really cause some beautiful effects. So very important if you're going to use wood dye is making sure that you don't shortchange your prep work. I always make sure that I sand down to 220 grit sandpaper. I'll start with 80, then I'll work my way down to 150, and finally the 220. And that ensures that you take out all of your sand marks so that they don't show up loud and clear when you put on the wood dye, because they will. And something that you will hear me say over and over again if you watch my program is that one of the beautiful things about the wood dye is also that you can blend it, because it's so different than stain, which it penetrates the wood, and because it's oil based, it fills in all those little nooks and crannies, and the wood reaches a saturation point fairly quickly. With the wood dye, it's not like that. You can apply several coats to get it darker and blend it gradually, because especially with the medium that I use, the rubbing alcohol, it evaporates quick, leaves the dye behind, and then that allows me to put on another coat, and the color just gets richer and deeper. And so that's allowed me to do what you see here, where it starts off dark and gradually works down to a nice light color. I'm shooting for sort of an early morning scene where the light is just starting to come up over the horizon. And with the tree here, actually everything to this point that you've seen, I have used wood dye. And it was a bit of an experiment doing the tree here. I practiced for a few minutes before the filming of this video, just to see, well, could I apply it with a paintbrush? And to my delight and surprise, it worked out really well. You have to dip it a few times, but the brush actually holds a lot of the wood dye. It takes a few branches here before I have to dip it again. It was really cool. If you are new to my channel, I'll tell you, I'm not really an artist or formal artist. I haven't had any training. As you can probably tell, I classify myself more as an experimental artist. I like to try out different things and see what happens. Don't have a whole lot of time to take lessons because I work quite a bit, have a pretty busy schedule. But I like to try things out, especially I'm working with a wood dye. I'm finding that is a lot of fun. I'll watch Bob Ross for inspiration, and I'll glean a few ideas here and there from other YouTube videos and give certain things a shot. And if I discover something that works out really good, then I'll pass that on to you. You'll see a few of those spots, like on the dead tree that's laying down. I covered up a couple of those spots. I'm not sure exactly what they are, but they're areas where the wood, it almost looked like it was ground up and very weak, so I had to dig that out and putty it. And sometimes you can use those things to your advantage, like maybe a knot. You can work it into your artwork, or in the case of this, I just try to cover it up with something. Anyway, let me just take a moment to say that if you're someone who has wanted to get creative and make things, whether it's painting or crafts or something else, just get started. That's the biggest thing. It's so easy for us to think, oh, I can't do that, I'm not creative, I hear that so many times. I said it a million times until I finally just got started. And that's really the hardest part, is just that first step. I find it so exciting, the journey, because here and there I learn a little nugget that, a technique that works really good. And it's just so exciting to add it to my teeny tiny repertoire. But yeah, it's fun just to enjoy the journey. And sometimes, use your tools like I'm doing here. I broke out my Cricut to make a stencil for the moon and for a couple little birds. Ain't nothing wrong with that.